Hey folks, I'm coming at you hot and sweaty on a humid day. I've got the fans going in the background, so I truly apologize. I turned it down just a smidge, but I don't want to die. But I'm coming at you with some more thoughts from the Myth of Normal book by Gabor Mate and his son Daniel. And I was just reading a chapter on that mainly focused on folks who've experienced chronic or multiple severe health scares and incidents like cancer and chronic disease. And I wanted to share the perspective on life and death that Gabor laid out so beautifully for us in the book. So there are a couple different quotes sort of along, and the one that really stood out to me was, what we need to die well is what we also need to live well, or to live. And that it's not necessarily, so there's a story of a man he had encountered who was given a certain number of months to live, and his journey, although it's not like he was able to miraculously cure himself with like positive thoughts, he didn't, lengthen the time that he had. But so for him, it wasn't about living longer necessarily. It was about living, and living right, and living fully, and moving towards wholeness and healing, and using the time that he had left as best he could, with as much appreciation and intentionality as possible. And I just thought, one, I think that's a beautiful way of looking at life and living, and I think we avoid thinking about the finiteness of our life too much, because nothing is guaranteed, and when we, I think, actually let ourselves take that in, it becomes a lot harder to take for granted what we have, and I think, and he talks about this in the book a lot, that just how, life hands you, the universe, however you want to talk about it, hands you the right challenges and opportunities, invitations to sort of wake up to what you might have been glossing over. And for me, I think, there's been many things in my life that have done that, but almost losing a family member was a big part of that, I think, and in allowing me to, and challenging me to, just not take any day for granted. Actually, almost losing a family member, that was great. That was great. That was helpful. But mainly, I think, actually, in boundary setting, for what was, I think, more impactful, actually, for me, in terms of living every day, to its fullest, was spending about a year being pretty much chronically ill with strep throat. I had about 16 strep throat infections in a matter of about a year, and ended up having a tonsillectomy and an emergency procedure, like a follow-up one. I also had like a laser procedure done prior to that, but just being unwell for a year, not being able to fully show up the way that I wanted to, really made me appreciate my health, but also just life in general. I've hurt myself in the past, broken bones, things like that, but they've been fairly temporary, like that appreciation for full mobility is shorter, not as long lasting. And anyway, I think that helped me out. So focusing on the fact that we die, I think, allows us to live well. And it reminds me of the podcast episode I think I spoke about briefly on the We Can Do Hard Things podcast, where Glennon and Abby interviewed Alok. I want to say their name is Alok. It was incredibly beautiful non-binary activist and comedian, where they talked a lot about death and the perspective that it provides. And I think this idea, and the idea of that, it's not about wanting more time on this earth, more time with people. It's about using the time that we are given as best as we can, because again, nothing is guaranteed. And I think, although in the book it was talking about in the context of health and like literally life and death, like illness situations, but I think we could apply this to relationships too, to jobs, to anything that we have the urge or instinct or habit of treating as guaranteed, treating as something we can totally depend on. Yeah, treating it as permanent. Relationships, like, and I think that's, probably marriage advice that lots of people have probably heard is to continue to date each other. Once you get married, it's not like, okay, we've signed a legal contract, there's no way you're gonna like break up with me, we're in this forever, so I'm just gonna sit back and just take you for granted because it's a guaranteed thing now. Well, first, that's totally false because divorce is possible, but when we like take that back seat and kind of almost go into autopilot of like, okay, I can make this assumption now, this person's going to be in my life forever, I feel like that intentional effort to appreciate your partner and the thing that's in your life goes away a little bit, or at least it makes it a lot harder. I know it does. So just this tiny little thing in this book, really, it reminded me of some of the values that I have, some of the learnings that I've gone through and wanted to share, because I think it's just a great way to look at life, so, especially in the 21st century where there is constant change and a lot is uncertain. Most things are uncertain. And so if we can get comfortable with uncertainty and get comfortable with transformation and change, I think life will be a lot easier to navigate. And I think our relationships will become a lot more meaningful, better and closer and deeper. Thinking of a person who's trying to get their affairs in order before a death that they know is coming is a beautiful thing, and I think everything's brighter and clearer and has so much more meaning. But what if we could live our lives regardless of knowing when it was going to end or not, that way? I think we'd all be a lot kinder. We would treat every interaction as precious. We would try and show up as our best selves in every way that we can, and protect our energy a lot more too, I think. Yeah. That really resonated with me. I hope it does with you. And wherever you are, I was just laughing to myself. I'm going to make this morbid. Wherever you are, I hope you make this day feel like, the best day it could be, because it might be your last. It might be my last. But I hope I will see you in the next one. Thanks for watching, and take care. Bye, folks.